Did you ever just stare at a blank canvas and you couldn't paint? It happens to me. It's been happening to me quite often in the last couple of weeks. So I decided to record a little video on how to beat the artist block. Before we dive in into some of the methods I personally use, I figured we could briefly cover some common causes of why we even face an artist block. For me, it's often a form of a burnout where I paint every day and I paint day after day after day. And combined with lack of inspiration, I just sometimes look at a canvas and I go, I've done everything there is to do. There is nothing left for me to do. Some of you might feel like you're waiting for the perfect moment to paint in terms of, oh, I'm too busy now. I'm going to do it in the evening. I'm going to do it next morning. Or you may want to achieve a certain skill level to feel like you should start painting. So let's see how we can practically tackle some of these. I don't often feel like I need to achieve perfection, but if I did, I would allow myself an hour or a day where I could just make ugly art. So, in terms of brush strokes, in terms of color use, in terms of motive that I'm painting, I would just let things get messy and skewed. I wouldn't follow perspective. I I would just kind of tell myself it's okay. You don't have to be perfect to start. You don't have to know color theory. You don't have to know how to make atmosphere. You don't have to know the proportions, because sometimes when we don't know something and we do it anyway, we learn how to do it through the process. And in terms of waiting for a perfect moment to start, I've had that quite often. And at this point, I don't think there's a perfect moment. I think there's a perfect habit. And if you build a habit, for example, when I worked for it full time, I was paintings and I would finish at 5 and I would go to the store and I would paint from 6 or 7 until 9 p.m. If you build a perfect habit, you may find yourself sometimes going outside of that habit, and that's normal. And there's no reason to blame yourself for that. But building a perfect habit also means putting a pressure on you of I have to do it within that time frame. Liberate yourself from having to do to make a painting or start a painting or devote your time within the certain time frame. And if you're well rested, if you can start it earlier, start it later, just start. You don't have to finish. That's the whole catch. Just start it at some other time. Then there's burnout, and it may appear out of the blue at any moment while you're making art throughout your life. And it can be quite tricky because you may think that you go through it by making more and you can't make more because you're burnt out. The only way and the best way is to stop. It sounds counterproductive to our brain. It does, but the only and the best way is to stop, make a pause, don't even think about it, go somewhere, move away for a day or two, pack your paints, pack your colors, pack your canvases, don't look at them. Don't analyze, don't think about it, and pair it pair that moment with something that gets you inspired, with something that deeply, deeply moves you, or change when you change your environment. Also, change one little habit for 15 minutes or so. Even reading a couple of pages of your favorite book can help your brain get out and get out of itself and just think in a different way and give you a different emotion. Now, lack of inspiration, I feel most artists face a lack of inspiration moment where you just don't think there's anything left to do. You've done it all, there's nothing else. But there is art is all around you, and once you learn to see it, you'll learn that inspiration is actually all around you. When you go take a walk, look at the sky, look at the colors around you, look at the hues. Try to observe the world as if the world itself is a painting. And that way, you'll be able to catch glimpses of moments where you may simply say, "Oh my god, I can paint that." You can prompt yourself, for example, like paint your favorite memory, paint your favorite feeling, paint your favorite animal. When it comes to the lack of inspiration, don't limit yourself in terms of just one motive that you're painting. For example, if I do landscapes and I find that there's a lack of inspiration, I will shift to animals. I will shift to adding some buildings into my landscapes, adding an animal to it, or just painting an animal on its own. I would focus maybe on even painting food, just something else to get you in the zone. You can also take your old piece and redo it. I often find that observing my own art gets me to do more art, or simply just sit down and watch a good cinematic, well done piece with good photography, good music, good story, because as painters, we are often visual people, and seeing a good picture directed well can get you to see something that you may have missed in the world. Some other ways you can challenge yourself and get out of the artist block is to change your medium or to change the size of your works, which is why I often have canvases of different sizes. My usual and favorite size is 30 by 40 centimeters, but I have something like these, or just good old canvas panel, or even wood, something like this. I also sometimes stretch my own canvases and make things like these, which are quite challenging to think about what you'll put on, but it can get you to think in a different way. All you can do is just start, draw a line or two, and see where it takes you. You can also try checking out some nature photography, depending on what you do, nature or objects or still life. Or just ask your friends to tell you what to paint, or just take one random word from the internet and try to turn it into a painting. What I often do is when I scroll TikTok and I hear like a poet reciting their work or something, I save that and I focus on like micro sections of the poem that I would paint later on. There are also ways to kind of force creativity by limiting your color palette or limiting yourself to just one brush, or going out of your safe zone and taking the colors that you've never used before, taking the brushes that you've never used before. Just take one and challenge yourself to paint with that, with only one brush, which I often do, and I find it quite liberating to see what one brush can get me to do. Take your tubes of paint and just mingle them around, feel them, because our brain connects the habit of painting to us taking the paint tubes. So just mingle them around in your hand, open them up, close them, see how you feel. Observe other people's work, but I find that I, at this point, I don't do it anymore. I used to do it when I needed inspiration, in terms of, oh, look at that person like mixing their colors well, or look at the atmospheric piece that this person made. I want to try to cause that same emotion. Eventually, if all else fails, you can just sit down a little bit and sit with your color palette and mix it up, because again, our brain associates the paint mixing with painting. So that also happened to me quite often, that I just start mixing, or I just start sorting my canvases, or I just start mingling things in my hand, and the idea comes to me, the emotion comes to me, and I have to put it on the canvas. I'm gonna show you like a practical exercise that you can do. And take a pen and just draw a couple of lines. Again, they don't have to be perfect. Just draw them around and sit with yourself and observe what the lines tell you. Move the canvas around, or the paper, whatever you have, and just see what they tell you, because eventually they will tell you something, and you're going to be able to go through with it and have fun. And once you get to have fun, you're going to sort the whole thing up. So this, for example, is a giant pile of marshmallows and cookies and whipped cream. And this is one big burger, which I don't do food, but this is what it's telling me now. This is exactly what I want to show you. This is one big burger. Here's the lettuce. There's all sorts of stuff. The sesame seeds. And then this is the table. And you have your glass or a milkshake or whatever. So you just turn what you have from a couple of pen strokes into some new stuff. And you don't even have to finish painting this. You can just let it be, and or you can, and have fun. The burger is looking nice. I'm thinking of painting food now. Probably won't, but that's the whole point. And remember, that happens to everyone. It happens often. It happens no matter how good you are. all you have to do is just take 10 minutes and just start and see where it takes you. And I hope I helped. And thank you for watching. Leave a comment below what you think, what you've done, what helped you, if you tried some of these tips, and just let me know.